Hello, welcome to my update. It has been a minute, you guys, so I don't even know where to start. Basically, I had to take a mental break from social media. August and July, basically kicked my ass in terms of my health, in terms of just feeling extremely overwhelmed. Um, I a lot of lessons have been learned. A lot of unpacking has happened in the last couple months here. And going into September being my birthday month, I was really excited and I was really keen to kind of kick things off and fresh start and all the things, right? And that's essentially what happened. But the thing is, I have a kindergartner now. And so there was gradual entry with that, and there's so many things that I want to say about that, but I will keep that for another day. Those, basically, if you know, you know. Gradual entry is hard, especially for those. I can't even imagine if I was working full time, it would have been freaking something else. Anyway, it's done. We started full time at kindergarten today, and we are off to the races. So here we go. Basically, what I wanted to do on here today was say hi because it's been a minute. I want to also acknowledge the fact that it's okay to take a break from social media. A lot of us that work online, a lot of us that are posting regularly and everything online, we kind of get stuck in this sort of we have to post every single day, we have to constantly show up, otherwise our business doesn't exist, which is just not accurate. Because if you are constantly making connections outside of your social media platform, you are still working your business. Regardless if you're getting massive sales that month or not, for sure, if you're relying on social media as your main source of marketing or the main way to connect to people, if you're taking a break from your social media account for a little bit, you may see a little bit of a dip in sales. But the bottom line is, you want to have things set up for yourself where when you do need to take a mental break from social media, which should be a regular thing, to be honest. It shouldn't be at a point where you are at burnout or anything like that. And the break that I took was a preventative break because I felt that burnout coming on. I felt that sort of overwhelm, and there's just a lot of stuff that's been happening over the last few months behind the scenes that needed me to just stop. Basically, just kind of take a break, just take really evaluate what it is that I want moving forward, especially going into the end of the year, planning out basically planning out everything that's going to happen and what that's going to look like, and not to not to forecast it essentially, but you have to go into something with a plan. You have to have a goal in place. It's not up to you to know if or when or how that plan or goal is actually going to work out, but you have to have tangible things that you're working towards. Otherwise, you're just kind of floating around in space, basically. And that's kind of what I was feeling for a long time. I had these big goals and I had these this vision of what I wanted, but I was running so thin and just kind of prioritizing everything else other than myself. And I was basically at a point where I didn't know what I was working towards anymore. I knew my why and I knew the vision and all that, but I'm what am I actually working on? So a lot of the things I was focusing on, and I still am focusing on my course that I'm actively trying to get out. But the thing is, I was putting so much pressure on that it had to come out at the time that I wanted it to. And then the amount of shame and guilt that I put on myself because I had this expectation that it had to go out, when I wanted it to go out earlier on this year. When that didn't happen, it was a lot of pressure that I put on myself and a lot of high expectations that I put on myself that I had failed, essentially. So I felt like a failure for a while, and I basically had to process that and figure out what is actually going on. I am actively in therapy. Like, I go every, whatever, 2 to 3 weeks or whatever at this point. So I'm working on like childhood trauma. I'm working on just stuff that I'm holding on to that's blocking me from essentially like moving forward in my life. And I'm using the things that I learned from that. I'm using things that I'm like, as I evolve and adapt in my own life, to be able to help you guys with your own journeys. So, well, we're at about 5 minutes here, so I'm trying to keep this kind of short and sweet, but also I'm just gonna like say what I need to say. So if you hang out for the whole time, then awesome. I love having you here, and if not, then that's okay too. If you're new to my channel, my name is Janae. I'm a health and wellness mentor, also a mom with ADHD. So why I'm saying that is because my content is going to start flipping to more targeted towards ambitious moms with ADHD. I was trying to kind of not necessarily suppress that part of me, but I haven't really talked that much on social media about me personally having ADHD and the fact that I got a late diagnosis and the fact that I've had to process a lot of stuff that's come along with that with getting a late diagnosis. Um, with me not leaning into that and like being called to show up authentically, I wasn't tapping into my authentic self by not showing up as an ambitious mom with ADHD. So at this point, like all the reflections and all the things that I've done now in the last few months, and why I've had to kind of dial back my social media and like take time for me, is to really reflect on like, who am I talking to? Like, who am I helping? And what community do I want to cultivate? Because right now, the community that I have around me isn't necessarily the like community that I can support the most. And right now, like, I know my purpose is super clear. I know what I need to do on this earth. Also, for those of you who don't really know, I've been on my spiritual journey for about just over a year now, tapping into my gifts, whether you believe in all this stuff or not. Like, I don't want to hear any negativity. And if I see any negativity, then your comments basically going out the window, because this is not the space for that. And this is a safe space for people that want to share the interests with me and want to learn from me. And if you don't like that and you don't agree with it, you can keep scrolling or you can move on. I don't want to hear any negativity. Okay? I'm not here for that. But the bottom line is, I've been on my spiritual journey for about a year now, and a lot of that inner work that I've been doing with like the trauma healing and stuff, and like the actual like childhood healing, all those things also ties into like the spirituality as well, and like really understanding um what kind of like higher power that I believe in, because that was sort of something that I struggled with for my entire life. I didn't really have anything that I was like leaning on, didn't really believe in anything. I wasn't like called to a certain religion. I didn't really like feel pulled to anything. I always was like an intuitive person, but I never really like tapped into that until things just kind of started happening, and like I kind of was like awakened to certain things, and I was like, oh, okay, this is like real life, this is actually a thing. And the more that I've like leaned into that, the more I've learned and grown and like I guess built my skills around it. And I'm nowhere, like I'm still super like new to the whole like spiritual world, and having certain gifts. Like, everyone's got a gift that you have in this lifetime, and like whether you tap into that or not is up to you. But everyone has access to it if that's what they choose to do, and so I've chosen that path. Like, I've decided to tap into that to be able to help people further with my journey, because that is like what I'm called to do. So along with that, like, my TikTok is kind of more focused where I do like my tarot readings and my like kind of more spiritual stuff. So if you want to follow that as well, it's the same handle. It's the at Mindset Mentor Shanae. I also give advice and do all the other things with my mindset work and things like that. But I do post a little bit more actively about my spirituality on there as well. More so the tarot readings and kind of just like channeled messages and that kind of stuff. So if that's what you're into, then awesome. I'd love to vibe with you with that. But that's kind of just like, I'm kind of done with hiding, I've done a lot of the shadow work. I've done a lot of the like behind the scenes stuff. And the only way that I'm going to be able to move forward, and the only way that I'm going to be able to help other people, is by actually like practicing what I preach and showing up authentically and stepping out of my comfort zone. And like right now, me doing this video to you guys is out of my comfort zone, but it feels right, and it feels like something that needs to happen, for you guys to see like me, like the raw me, and what I'm trying to do here on my platforms, and who I'm trying to connect with, and like what purpose I'm trying to serve here. Because at the end of the day, like this, what I'm here to do is there's like a bigger purpose for it, and this is kind of like scratching the surface of everything, and I'm well aware of that. So I'm just like really freaking excited to get going and to like see where, not even the next like 6 months, but like where my journey goes from this point, because it's been a hard fucking journey, if I'm like totally honest. There's been a lot of things that I've been processing and like unraveling, and trauma healing is no joke. Like, it's something, if you're able to, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend you like getting that support to be able to unpack your stuff. And not everyone has like really like deep rooted traumas, but at the same time, a lot of people feel like they don't have any traumas, but then they have certain reactions to certain things, and then those are actually like reactions to the trauma, if that makes sense. So like they're triggers essentially. But that's not what this video is for. I'll make more videos on that. But basically, what I wanted to go into with this video is I have a really deep connection with water. So I haven't been able to get to like bodies of water for a while. I had a lot of like, just a lot of pull messages, whatever you want to call it, to go to the water, and I had to like ground myself. It's grounding for me. Like, some people feel grounded more in like the earth, so they like feel grounded by like going and walking amongst trees, going like, putting their feet in the dirt, that kind of stuff. As a Virgo, I am like an earth element, but I am more attracted, like I'm more grounded in water than anywhere else. So when I've always been a fish, like literally since like the dawn of time. I grew up, like I was born around water, and I love the ocean, and I just like love like being connected with this something bigger, right? Like the ocean, like bodies of water, it's huge, it's scary, it's unknown, but it's amazing, it's powerful, and it's like, it's just wild. It's like the best thing ever. And like I just have a massive connection to water. And so I had to make this connection. I had to go to a beach, essentially. It couldn't have been a lake, it couldn't have been like just a pool or something. It had to be specifically the ocean. I go into the water, and I like told my husband like the purpose of this like vacation was to like have family time, but also like I needed to do some stuff like for myself, and like some healing, and some like just connecting to the water, and like doing my stuff. And so basically, we go, the first day was sort of like just settling in and just like having like getting the kids in a routine, or just like sort of establishing like where we're sleeping and all that stuff. It was like really late when we finally got to bed and whatever. Didn't have much sleep that night. And then we like go to the beach, and the next day it's like cloudy, but it's like the perfect kind of like temperature. We had our like sweaters on. Like, I'm fall girl through and through. I love sweater weather. Like, holy shit, I'm so freaking excited to be like wearing my sweater. I can't even stand it. So yeah, we basically go to the beach, and me and Buddy just start running towards the water. So at this point, it's low tide. The tide's way out there. Like, we're just like, there's just like wet sand because it's like fresh. It's in the morning. My kids are just like in there, this like, rolling around in the wet, like basically mud at this point, digging and just like getting covered in seaweed and just like having the best time of their life. And then me and Buddy go over to the water and go like get as close to the water as we could. I didn't want to go like all the way in or anything like that. I just needed to be like touching the water essentially. And yeah, he was just instantly like calmed down. And then I kind of was just taking the time that I needed to sort of process some things and watched the sunset. So I took some time in the evening. And this is like the day before we were like leaving. We were only there for a couple days. And so I'm just like processing a bunch of information for like business, just kind of like mapping things out for the rest of the year, watching the water, and just kind of like thinking about what I wanted to do. And it was like the most peaceful, like most peace I've felt in a very long time, and the most grounded I've felt in a very long time. Like literally, like on a vibrational level with the universe, like I was just like so like calm. And then yeah, basically I've just made a plan of like what I'm doing moving forward. Trying to get some clarity on like who I am trying to help here, like what is the point. And so like going back to the ADHD thing, like getting a late diagnosis and stuff, and like learning how to navigate that, and learning how to like where to even like get the help that I needed and need, and like how to just like process everything while being super ambitious and having really big goals and trying to be a millionaire and all these things. It's a lot, and being a mom with ADHD is a lot. And so like there's just not like a ton of support. There's like people out there that are influencers, I guess you will, or whatever, and like they can keep doing their thing. Like that's amazing. And there's like more than enough abundance and space for all of us, because we all have something different to offer. We all have something unique that makes our messaging unique. And like the way that I offer my support to my clients and like who I want to help is going to be different than how really anybody else is saying it, because it's me that's saying it. So what the point I'm trying to get across here with like this video is just kind of like showing up authentically is kind of like the best thing that you can do for yourself. It's the best thing that you can do for your following and your audience. And like trying to be something you're not, trying to hide or mask a part of you that makes you unique, and the part of you that like makes you like shine, is almost like doing like a disservice to your brand, or being a disservice to like who you are. And trying to hide that part of you that like you feel like is maybe a downfall could actually be the one thing that sets you apart, and that actually like brings you the success and the joy and the peace that you're looking for. Because if you're not leaning into that, and you're trying to pretend that you're something you're not, you're living in a space of like shame and guilt, and you're feeling a way about who you actually are, and you're letting other people dictate your future at that point. And so that's essentially what I do to help my clients and everybody that I'm trying to support, is doing the mindset work around that, and bringing that awareness that like if there's certain things that are coming up, or certain triggers that you're having, or certain like thoughts that you're having around it, those aren't necessarily your thoughts. Like a lot of thoughts are given to you from like childhood, from trusted adults, people in your life, bosses, whoever. Like it does not necessarily from like the age of 4 that all this starts. Yes, it does. But there's a lot of points that you essentially get imprinted of like other people's thoughts. And then it sort of like becomes your own. And so if you keep like telling yourself the same story over and over again, it just becomes sort of like the narrative that you're telling yourself. But what's also cool is that you can actually change that narrative. You can actually flip it around. You can delete it. You can do all the things. It's just knowing how to do that. And that's kind of like what I've been working a lot on and like mastering for myself. And so that's what I'm trying to help other people do as well. Because once you've unlocked that, once you're able to kind of reframe your thoughts, once you're able to like tap into that sort of like on a subconscious level of, what is actually going on, like the root of everything, and being able to really understand that, it just opens up your whole world. It opens up a lot of possibilities and opportunities, because you're no longer blocking yourself, and you're not being held back by that thought anymore. That's basically all it is. So after reflecting on everything and really getting clear on like who I'm helping, like what the purpose is, and that I'm no longer hiding anymore, and like I'm taking up space, I'm ready to be heard and seen, and like in my authentic state. And I'm also ready to not let anybody tell me that I'm not welcome here, because I've been bullied my entire life for being different. I've always known that I've been different, and I've never understood why people are so harsh and why people are so like bitter. And so now that I've kind of like done all the work that I have, and I understand where people are coming from, and I'm coming from a place of compassion. When if someone has something negative to say about to me or about me, I'm not instantly like reacting to them anymore. It's kind of just like, oh, like, I'm really sorry for you, like, you must be in a lot of pain right now. That has taken a long time to get there. That's not just something that you like happens overnight. That's not something that just like you it's a daily process, especially when it's a deep rooted wound that people have, like, dug their claws into you and like ripped you to pieces, and you're needing to relive all that and like relive it multiple times to like really clear it out. Like, it's a lot of fucking work. It's hard, but it's so worth it coming out on the other side and not having that like negativity around you anymore, and not being able to like have people have that kind of power over you. Like, I'm done with people having power over my decisions or over me, because like it's not your life. Like, it's up to me. I have all the say that I want in like how I live my life, and if you want to keep me small, then that's your problem, because it's not going to work. Like, I'm no longer in that space anymore, and it's so fucking freeing, and I just want everybody to be in that space. Not to say that there's not going to be hard days. There's going to be times where I sort of like want to just crawl back into that hole, but like there's been a lot of shit that I've unpacked and that I've let go of, and that like doesn't serve me anymore, and people that I've put very firm boundaries around, because I just can't, their energy is not something I can be around anymore. And it is what it is, and that's all part of it. That's all part of like what I'm doing to help you. I'm helping you to do that, establish the boundaries if those aren't in place. It's helping you to become aware of like what is actually going on in your brain, and like giving you that power back too. And it's not like I'm not here to do all the work for you. Like, you have to choose to do the work. Like, you have to make that decision for yourself. But I am taking my knowledge and my expertise and my resources and helping you get there, and helping you make this just a little easier, because there is very limited resources, especially for women with ADHD. And the community, a community vibe for people like women moms that have ADHD is very limited. So I have something in the works, and something that I'm like wanting to like establish here, but it's just, everything's going to take time, and things are going to roll out like gradually as I get going here. But the like empire essentially that I'm building is going to be like insane, and I'm just really excited to have you guys along the journey. What I did want to kind of like wrap up this video with, and thank you for those of you who stuck around for as long as you did, and like learned a little bit more about me and like just my journey and like what I'm trying to do here, because I needed to get this message out. And I appreciate you if you did stick around and you did watch all of it, because it wasn't the easiest for me to do, but I knew that I needed to get it out. I knew that somebody needed to hear it, and somebody was going to resonate with it. And that's essentially what stepping out of your comfort zone is about, and that's what being vulnerable and like being authentic is just doing the hard things, because you can help somebody else out by doing that, right? So while I was like reflecting on all my stuff, looking at the ocean, watching the sunset, I basically sort of essentially got a channeled message that came through. And I was just sort of like asking like what do I need to know like moving forward, like for leaving here, like what do I need to focus on, or like what do I need to like what else do I need to know here, because I've like already felt like I've like processed a lot of things. I've already like have a way more clarity now in the last like 2 days than I have in like the last like year. But what else, like, is there anything else that I need to know? And so basically, this is gonna be like really hard for me to say. I'm gonna try not to cry because it's like really intense, and this is just something that has been really hard for me to do. Going with the flow with things and not having like control of the situation is really hard for me. That's something that I've struggled my entire life. I've always felt like I needed to be like in control of the situation. It's really hard for me to like rely on other people, because I don't have a lot of like trust in people. Like, that's a really hard thing for me. And so at the end of the day, I just do things myself, like do it for me, do it my way, and like whatever, because it just works out better that way, because I get let down a lot, and my expectations of the people that are helping me are insanely high. And that's something that I'm well aware of and that I'm working on. But it's just something that that I've operated from a very long time. And so going with the flow is really, really difficult for me. And so when I got this message and said flow like water, water heads for its destination, and it trusts that, I just have my notes here, so that's what I'm looking down. So it trusts that it will get there. If there's obstacles along the way, it flows around it, through it, and over it, or under it. Water doesn't try to control its journey. It trusts that it'll get there when it needs to in divine timing. Water is extremely powerful and helps so many people in so many different ways. Water is graceful, peaceful, and strong, just like you. It's time to let go of control. It's time to surrender to the universe and trust that we've got your back. You are so guided, loved, and protected on this journey, and your world is about to completely change in the best way. So I felt really called to get that message out today. I was trying to think about like what to show up, like how, like what people need to hear today. And this message kind of just like kept popping up or like in my head and kind of being like just reminding me about it. And it's a really powerful message, and I'm also like writing it out in the caption as well so that you guys can see it. But it's as simple as that. Water does not control its destination. It just trusts it's going to get to where it needs to go, and it's not going to let other things, obstacles are going to happen. It's inevitable. Things are going to come up along your journey. But if you know, like, undeniable that you, like, this is where you're going to end up, you get to just enjoy the journey along the way. Like, you get to just flow at that point. That's such a freaking wild concept, especially for somebody like myself who just can't, like, I'm so sick of people just like giving like just these like pieces of advice where it's like, well, just like go with the flow, just like let it go, like all this stuff. But like, it's so much deeper than that. Like, this message is just like so much deeper than that. And like that, like I felt that in like every cell of my body. As soon as it like came through, I was just like, holy shit. Like, obviously I've heard this before. I've heard people saying just go with the flow. Like, why are you like so controlling? Like, why is it such a big deal? It is a big deal because it's really hard for me to do. And it's because I don't, like, I had a kind of, I'm not even going to go there. It doesn't matter. But the point is, if you get anything from this whole video, just know that when your vision is strong enough and when your belief in yourself is strong enough, any obstacle that comes in your way is not going to be stopping your journey. When I was taking this time that I needed, that was just to like reconnect with my why, reconnect with my vision, and really like solidify what I'm doing here and what's the point. That did not stop me from like, it didn't derail me, let's say that. It didn't like stop my flow of like where I'm heading, because my vision is so big, because my like why is so solid, and I keep leaning on that every single time that I like am in a rough spot in my life or I'm trying to make a really big decision or something's going on. And it, like, this few months that have happened, I've let go, I've surrendered, and I've been able to just be like, okay, like, I trust that I'm going to get there. It's going to happen when it happens. I'm working on my stuff. I'm making my plans and stuff, but I'm not holding on to the expectation that it has to happen in that way. Like, I am doing my part. I am, like, following my instincts and following my internal compass, which is kind of like the whole point of spirituality, is just like really like trusting in yourself and trusting in your own belief that like the things that come to you, the inspiration that comes to you, and like the things, like, that's your inner guide. Like, that is you. Like, you are all of it. You are all the potential that you have, because that inner knowing is what's going to get you the success and the like the peace and the abundance that you're looking for in your life. But like I said, everybody has that in them. It's just whether or not they want to tap into it or whether they want to listen to that voice or not. And I'm just somebody who's followed my gut my entire life. Like every decision that I've made, it's just kind of like that initial feeling, that first like gut feeling that I get, or that sort of like whatever it is, whether it's good or bad, like it's very, very clear on whether or not I go with that decision or not. Like every single time. And then the times that I don't follow it, it's very, very clear that I should have gone the other way. But yeah, just all I can say is that get really clear on your vision, get really clear on your like why you're working so hard to achieve your goals, and don't let anybody like dim your light. Figure out what you need to do to start, showing up authentically, really like truly stepping into your power and like showing up as you, not as the version of what you think people want to see, but as you. And the right people will start showing up and appreciating what you have to say, and those are the people that you need to be reaching out to and that you need to be making an impact on. And by not taking, like, if you are in a state of burnout or if you're feeling like really exhausted, just slow down a little bit. Like, it's okay. It's okay to not finish the goal this month. It's okay if you extend that goal 3 months if that's what you need. Like right now, like is really the time that you need to be like taking that time to slow down and figure it out. Like figure out what it is that you want. The goal and everything that you're working towards right now is like a part of the journey. It's not the end result. So I'm going to be making lots more videos on this. There's going to be like a lot more really deep stuff coming your way. So like I said, if this resonated with you, amazing. I love having you here. Like, welcome to my kind of revamped community. If you could care less about it, you're probably not even watching anymore. But if you are, then that kind of tells you something too. But at the end of the day, I am here to support you however I can. And I'm here to take my own knowledge and my own experiences and give you the best advice or guidance or whatever that I can. Even if that just means being like a shoulder to cry on as someone who just fucking gets it. Because I'm so sick and tired of talking to people that just don't understand my struggles and like what I have to deal with every single day and like how much harder my life is because of my ADHD. But I'm also not letting my ADHD take away from like my potential and like how amazing of a person that I am. And it's not a downfall, it's a superpower. And as soon as you can start seeing your gifts and abilities like that, it's a different ability. It's a different thing that you have that nobody else has, or that other very like few people have, right? And how it shows up for you is going to be very different to how it shows up for other people. It takes a long time to do inner work and to heal, and it's an ongoing process. But if you're willing to do the work and at least be open to it and at least start like exploring that side of you and like really tapping into like how your brain works and leaning into that and trying to allow your gift to shine through, it'll likely get you to where you want to go a lot faster by doing that, as opposed to trying to suppress your ADHD, trying to suppress your differences, and doing things like a different way and like trying to conform or trying to like fit into a box that you don't belong, and that all that stuff, like that all needs to go. Like we're done with that. We're done with adapting and changing for people and like trying to be something we're not, because that's just not, that doesn't work anymore. Showing up authentically, living in your truth, speaking your truth, and being vulnerable, like taking up space, like feeling heard, like that's essentially all of this, like in a roundabout way. That's what it's all about. And it's time for you to speak your truth. It's time for you to take up space. And it's time for you to freaking flow like water, okay? Let's go. If you need help getting there, and if you're like resonating really hard with this, and you're just like, how the hell can I work with this person? Or like, I need your help, like whatever, then just go into my DMs. There's a lot of things I'm still like setting up in the background of my like coaching stuff. So nothing's really like fully set up yet. But I am here to help you. I'm here to guide you. I have options for you. I've got things to help you. So like just let's talk and let's start there. Let's like connect and let's fucking go. I will see you guys very soon.